A night of terror. The Bhopal gas tragedy, the night of December 2nd, 1984, will forever be etched in the memory of Bhopal, India. It was a night when an invisible enemy crept through the streets, bringing with it unimaginable horror and suffering. A poisonous gas leak from a pesticide factory owned by Union Carbide turned the city into a gas chamber. Thousands died within hours, and many more were left to suffer the long-term effects of exposure. It was one of the worst industrial disasters the world had ever seen. The scale of the tragedy was unprecedented, and the impact was felt globally. The gas, later identified as methyl isocyanate, or MIC, spread silently through the city. It moved like a phantom, unseen but deadly, affecting every living being in its path. People woke up gasping for breath, their eyes burning. The air was thick with the toxic fumes, making it nearly impossible to see or breathe. Chaos ensued as families tried to flee the toxic cloud. Streets were filled with panic-stricken people, desperate to escape the invisible killer. The tragedy exposed the lack of safety measures and the devastating consequences of industrial negligence. It highlighted the urgent need for stricter regulations and better safety protocols to prevent such disasters in the future. The calm before the storm. The Union Carbide factory in Bhopal produced pesticides, chemicals used to protect crops. One of the key ingredients in these pesticides was MIC, a highly toxic substance. To understand the tragedy, we must understand what happened in the factory before the leak. Several factors contributed to the disaster. The safety measures at the plant were inadequate. There were not enough trained workers. Alarms malfunctioned. The cooling system, which could have prevented the disaster, was switched off. All these factors created a dangerous situation. The leak and its immediate impact. On that fateful night, water entered a tank containing MIC, a highly toxic chemical used in pesticide production. This triggered a violent chemical reaction, causing a rapid and dangerous increase in temperature and pressure inside the tank. The result was a catastrophic leak of poisonous MIC gas, which quickly spread over the surrounding areas. The immediate impact was devastating. People woke up to the smell of burning chilies and a searing sensation in their eyes and throats, struggling to breathe. Thousands died in their sleep, suffocated by the toxic gas. The streets were filled with lifeless bodies, a haunting sight. Hospitals were overwhelmed with the sick and dying, unable to cope with the sheer number of victims needing urgent care. The air was thick with the acrid smell of gas and the constant wail of sirens as emergency responders rushed to the scene. Section 4. A Long Shadow, the Legacy of Bhopal. The Bhopal gas tragedy did not end in 1984. The disaster left an indelible mark on the city and its people, altering lives forever. Its effects continue to this day, with the shadow of the tragedy looming large over Bhopal. Thousands still suffer from chronic health problems caused by exposure to the gas. These health issues have persisted for decades, affecting multiple generations. These include respiratory illnesses, cancer, and birth defects. The impact on children born to affected parents is particularly heartbreaking. The environment around the factory remains contaminated. Toxic chemicals continue to leach into the soil and water, posing ongoing risks to the community. The Indian government, along with Union Carbide, has been criticized for not doing enough to help the victims and clean up the site. Activists argue that justice has not been served. The tragedy serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of industrial disasters. It underscores the need for stringent safety measures and corporate accountability to prevent such catastrophes in the future. Section 5. Lessons Unlearned. The Bhopal gas tragedy was a wake-up call for the world. It highlighted the importance of industrial safety, corporate responsibility, and environmental regulations. The disaster led to stricter safety laws in India and around the world. However, the fight for justice for the victims continues. Many believe that Union Carbide has not been held accountable for its role in the disaster. The Bhopal gas tragedy is a stark reminder that economic development should not come at the cost of human life and the environment.